You had your chance and then you blew it.
That is the most absurd statement of the year.
Nice. Nice.
Oh, baby.
I'm in my zone, I'm feeling it.
Live from Rock Solid Studios in Granite Falls, it's time for MinneZona Sports, live with DJ Matty C. and Paul the Shield Vold.
And this is MinneZona Sports Live. We are back. Yes, claps all around, claps all around. Episode 105, 105 episodes of MinneZona. Who would have thunk? Not me, just saying. Anywho, I'm your host, DJ Matty C, a.k.a. Matt Callahan, a.k.a. Callie, a.k.a. Matty C, etc., etc., etc. And all the way from Woods and Shore Studios in Aiken, Minnesota, Paul Volta, Shield. What is going on, Shield?
I never thought we would have made it to 105 episodes, but I guess the saying goes, ignorance is bliss. And you know what? We just keep trucking right along, and here we are at episode 105.
Episode 105, we're just over, I mean, we're still a little bit over the 100, but, you know, we're in the 3 digits. It's going to take a while to get us to the 4, but, you know, we'll get there. Anyway, episode 105 coming to you right quick. But before actually, let's let the zoners know. We did an interview yesterday with our best guest of 2021, and I put this as in quotation, but you'll get the gist of it once we give you the interview. But I will say this, that we had a great time. We talked Wolves, so we talked about the game 1, and then we talked about game 2 before the game. So you guys can rip us all you want with our bad takes and whatnot. Please go ahead. It's fine. It's all in good fun. And then we get to one thing that Munson's probably waiting to chime in on, and we'll wait till the end of the interview there. But let's start with this, Voldy. Before we get into the interview, the Minnesota Wild win last night against the Canadians. Canadians are terrible. They're like what? They have like 20 wins or something like that.
Not good.
They're not very good. But Cam Talbot, shutout. Things looking good there, making that playoff push. They're definitely trying to rest some guys and whatnot. So we'll keep you in tune with that coming up as Voldy's wearing 97. And we got 97, obviously, back here. So loving it. But so the Wild got that going on. And then the NFL draft is coming up. We got to talk more Vikings. We might have some people on and whatnot. So looking forward to talking draft here soon, Voldy. We got Wild playoffs and Vikings draft, Wolves in the playoffs, and then, I guess the Twins too. I mean, it is an exciting time, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, if only the weather would reciprocate at least around my neck of the woods, that's for sure.
Yeah.
Because it's downright depressing. I'll say that.
It was this morning here in good old Granite Falls, but the sun is actually out, which is kind of nice.
It's in the sun in 3 days.
Oh man, we can't get away from this terrible weather.
Could be worse. It was snowing today out in western Minnesota, so out in Perham, I should say.
Oh yeah, that's true. That's
could be
true.
worse.
So it could be worse, like you said. So, anyway, tonight we got Cole Munson interview. We're talking Wolves. We're talking a little bit of the best guest deal. You'll get that right at the beginning, and then we're gonna no special segment this week. We're gonna go right into ARA. Then we're gonna go to Shield Shoutouts and whatnot. So we'll have some fun here. But please, you guys, you're gonna enjoy this interview a lot. We had a great time with Cole. Some of it, most of it, I'd say. It was good. It was fine. We enjoyed it. So anyway, let's get right to it. All right, welcome back to MinneZona Sports Live. Voldy, we have our 2021 best guest. I'm having a hard time putting that together. I don't know how he got the votes, but he got them. I don't know how it happened. But Cole, we welcome you back. So tell me, what was your secret on the whole voting situation there, sir? Huh?
Well, there's a very avid fan base for me, Matt. Very avid fan base. They come out in droves whenever I'm on. You know that.
In droves, huh? I don't know, because I wonder if somebody figured out the algorithm of how to vote. I think we got to put some parameters on how people can vote and whatnot.
It's fake news, Matt. It's fake news. I won fair and square.
Yeah.
It's a fluke.
You tell Double Trouble that. You tell Will Tell that. You tell Mikey that. We got a whole slew of them. Just saying. I don't know. But anyway, congratulations, though. We give you some very much for that. So
thank you very
claps
much.
out. Welcome back. Well, I think the reason. Well, first of all, we like your hat too. I forgot to mention that your hat looks fantastic.
Looks great.
Glad that you're wearing it and you're wearing the Wolves stuff, and that's what we're talking about today. Because clearly, the Wolves, they play tonight, 7:30. They got the Grizzlies. They had a big game one win, but I'm going to backtrack a little bit because Cole, I remember you and I were talking about this because you were at the play-in game and checking that out and whatnot. And Voldy, we talked about it on the show not too long ago. Cole, what are your thoughts on the national media? And I'm going to call out ESPN First Take because they did kind of mess things up and said, well, they had confetti. They had fireworks. It was, it's not what happened. But what is your thought on the national media kind of bashing the Wolves after they won the play-in game?
For most teams, I'd understand it. I mean, we celebrated a lot for a play-in game. The big problem is when you're the national media, you don't know what in the world we've been through. It has been a miserable 18 years. We've made the playoffs one time in that 18 years. I've been talking with people. The last time that the Timberwolves really made the playoffs, I don't count the 2017 season because I did not like that team. That was a miserable year anyways. But the last time we truly made the playoffs and had a legit team, We're talking, I was 9 years old. Like, I can barely remember anything from that year, let alone truly be able to enjoy it. So we haven't had any sort of success at all in the last 18 years. So I'm not sure exactly what you're expecting from the crowd aspect of it. As this is what happens. And as far as the players go, this is what you want to see from the players. This is what you want to see after a game like this with high emotions. You want to see that people care. You want to see that the players care. So when you go on and you sit there and you clown the team, TNT was a bad case of this immediately after the game. Yeah. They went on there and they were playing "We Are the Champions" as we're sitting there celebrating.
One shining moment.
Yards. One shining moment. You had Ernie Johnson saying that the playoffs must have just ended and it's the shortest playoffs ever because apparently the Wolves won the championship. I get it. It's funny, but you got to understand the context of what just happened. They were, I believe, over under on them was like 33.5 wins. They got to 46 in the 7th seed. There's a real chance to upset the Grizzlies in the first round, which we'll get to that later. And when it comes down to the players, like I said, this is what you want to see from the players. You want to see passion. You want to see wants to do better. So that's my take on it. As fans wise, we've been miserable, and players wise, they just care. And I love that. So
yeah. Well, you're not wrong, because when I heard that, when they said, "Oh, fireworks, confetti," and things like, I'm like, after the game, all I saw was Pat Bev and Ant jump on the scores table. And I think what it was Pat Bev threw his jersey into the crowd. And do we know where that jersey is? I don't know.
All of Joanna Man style back in the day, if you guys ever saw that movie.
Yeah. I mean, what's the big deal? He throws his jersey in there. They're like, "Oh my gosh, it's such an outrage. They're having too much fun." I'd be watching what you say. And I said, if the Wolves win this series against the Grizzlies, I want an apology from those people. Molly Karam, Stephen A. Smith, and Tim Legler, Jay Williams, who was on there too. Want an apology. But anyway, I think we can all agree that they're blowing it out of proportion, and it was something to where people had an opinion on it on Twitter. They thought, well, oh God, the Wolves, why are they all, they're getting all up in there. They're like, oh, they won the championship. It's like, this franchise has suffered long enough. They deserve some happiness. And, I know we make fun of the Wolves sometimes too, but hey, that's just how it is with Minnesota sports. So, all right, well, let's get into the nitty gritty here, guys. Let's take a look at game one. And obviously the Wolves, they were ready, man. And I was very happy to see what they did, how Cat bounced back, Cole, how Ant kind of took charge, which he should have. I mean, he definitely should have. So first, let me get your thoughts on game one. What are your thoughts on how they played?
Well, Anthony Edwards just showed out that game. He really put himself on the map. National media is not going to sleep on him anymore, and getting a lot more love after that game. LaMelo can take a back seat now as far as the second year player love, but he produced like none other, and it was a fantastic game for him. I'm a bit worried about a letdown now. I don't know if he's going to fully be able to keep this up. Remember, he's 20 years old, so I think you're going to need other players to step up for us to be able to win this game, because I don't see him coming out putting up an efficient 36 again. Another guy that really came to play, Jaden McDaniels. Jaden McDaniels defensively was fantastic. He had some clutch shots too. He came and he balled out. So those were the two guys that really stood out to me regarding this win. We need to see more. If we're going to keep winning like this, we need to see more from D'Lo. D'Lo needs to be able to score. He needs to be able to play better than what he showed on Monday. It's very good to see Cat actually show up. I was a bit nervous about that with some of the pressure and some of the playoff calls. Great to see him show up. I know he's struggled in the past with the Clippers, but he's dominated against the Grizzlies. So I think that should help. And if we do happen to move on, we'll be seeing the Warriors, which he normally does very well against the Warriors too. In all likelihood, that is a game. I mean, it's not finished, but it's finished. So, in all honesty, if we win tonight, are we looking at a sweep?
No, I'm going to say no, because knowing Minnesota teams, it's just if they sweep the Memphis Grizzlies, then I'll eat my words and I'll bow down at the feet. But I don't think so. Even if they go up 2-0, I still think Memphis is too good to let us go and sweep them. I feel like that's just my humble opinion. Voldy, what do you think?
I mean, I feel like Memphis is a team that could definitely sneak one out on the road. I think it's going to be one of those games where they get out by 2 or 3 points. You know, maybe a shot goes into Ja Morant's way at the late stages of maybe an end of regulation, maybe an overtime period. These two teams are too evenly matched, I think, to keep it in regulation as well. We almost saw that in game 1, but the T-Wolves were able, you know, obviously to get some big help down the stretch too. And that's the way the second half of the season really has been for the Timberwolves too. They're a grind them out kind of team, especially when it's been, you know, winning 145 to 137 or something like that, because buckets are getting gotten on both ends of the floor. It's just which team's going to convert more at the end too. But I feel like Memphis is a hard team to keep down too, especially when they have, you know, guys like, I've been really interested in how the post play has been, or at least with guys like Steven Adams and Cat too, mixing it up down low in the paint too, and getting their shots from, you know, wherever. Obviously, those are two big guys that you definitely can't not account for out on the floor too.
And I think a lot of that has to do with the development that development and relationship between Cat and Finch. And I think Finch has done a fantastic. I think it's a travesty that he's not, or he was a finalist for Coach of the Year, but I think he's out of it now because they're down to the 3. But I think that's kind of
fluke.
I think it's a fluke. Yeah, it's a sham. Yeah, I guess Monty Williams, you know, with the Suns, they're damn good. But then again, it is what it is.
They were good last year.
So,
yeah, true. Yeah, that's a good point.
So real quick on the Coach of the Year thing. I understand that the Suns are amazing, but they're an amazing team.
Sure.
They did what they were expected to do. They're winning games that they're expected to win. They're just in the NBA Finals last year.
Exactly.
It should, in my eyes, it should be between 3 coaches. Taylor Jenkins of the Memphis Grizzlies, JB Bickerstaff of the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then Chris Finch over with Minnesota. Those are the 3 teams that really overachieved. Those are the 3 teams that, if you look at the beginning of the year, that they excelled far beyond their expectations. I understand why they went with the way it was. It's how they've always done it with coaches that were right at the top of their conference. I don't agree with that system. I think it should go to the coach that got the most out of the roster he was given. But those are my 3. Also, real quick, I know you said no. If we win tonight, I'm going on the record. We're gonna finish out those last 2 games. It's gonna be a sweep.
All right.
We have this recorded.
Yep.
If we win tonight, it's a sweep.
It's a wrap.
I'm glad we got this recorded. I'm glad we have this.
1, 2, 3, Cancun. Get them out of here. Next up.
I'm just saying you're putting yourself up for most absurd statement now. I mean, if they don't do it, I mean, let's say they win 4-1, then it's a little less absurd. Well, if they win 4-2, there's give and take. But if they lose, oh boy, Cole,
Hey.
Yeah.
I said if they win tonight, by the way.
Okay.
If they win tonight, then it's a 4-0 sweep.
We're gonna hold you to it.
We're gonna get back.
Yeah.
And that crowd's gonna be insane.
Yeah. No.
And we're gonna take care of business game 3, and then when you're up 3-0,
Yeah.
that Grizzlies team is just it's gonna be demoralized. They're gonna be fighting.
Right.
We're gonna take care of it, Matt.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm just saying if they go up 3-0, yeah, I think that's probably what's going to happen. But let's kind of get into the nitty gritty. Let's look into game 2 here, because we kind of talked about Cat. We talked about Ann a little bit. I feel like the main thing for the Wolves, and I think throughout these next few games, how do they contain Ja? And obviously, I think the one person you want to have on Ja and guarding Ja is our guy Pat Bev, right? I mean, would that make sense, Cole, with Pat Bev and or Edwards? What do you think?
That's not Pat Bev. I think would be a good option in Spurs. With his age, I don't know if I want him on there on Pat or on Ja like that full game. I would look at guys like Vanderbilt getting some time, being able to really put some pressure on him with his size and being able to contest a lot of shots. Anthony Edwards, I think, will probably get a little bit of time. He's not going to get a lot because of the fact that he's going to have to do a lot offensively too. So he's going to carry a lot of that load. But I think it's going to be a mixture of those three. Who knows? Maybe you see Okogie get a little bit of time if things go south on that end, because he can be such a pest. The big thing defensively to watch is to see how Cat handles pick and rolls, because they're going to be setting all the pick and rolls for John Morant. They're going to be taking Cat's guy up. They're going to try and attack him, get him into foul trouble, get him in situations he does not want to be in. If he gets into foul trouble, it is a very bad sign for us. We're probably in big trouble for that game. But if he can stay out of foul trouble while still playing acceptable defense, then we're good to go. We can start making other moves, and we're starting to look a lot more clean going forward.
Let's hope. I think with Ja, he could be. I mean, he's a one-man wrecking crew, I feel like sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
And Jackson's another guy. Jared Jackson's another guy I think we got to keep an eye on too, make sure that he's not getting by us. But what does Cat need to do in game 2 in order to keep consistent here, Cole?
Keep his head. Don't let, because one of the biggest problems that we've seen in these big moments is the refs affect the way Karl Anthony Towns plays. You see it starting to get into his head. He starts losing his way. He starts losing his focus on what's going on. He needs to keep his head tonight, and he needs to be able to stay focused on the game, not be arguing with the refs every single call. Another thing is you got to stay out of foul trouble. Like I just said, you need to not be picking up cheap fouls on a rebound. Can't get caught trying to slip your hand in there, and all of a sudden it's a quick cheap foul for no reason. We need you on the floor, because when you're off the floor, that means more pressure gets put on Naz Reid. I like Naz Reid. This is not the matchup for him. You don't want him playing big minutes. If he's playing big minutes, there's problems. So he needs, really, truthfully, I think he has a big game no matter what, as long as he stays on the floor. This is an excellent matchup for him. He can blow by Steven Adams. He can post up Jaren Jackson Jr. Jaren Jackson Jr. doesn't have the size to compete with him. It's all about, can you stay on the floor and stay in it mentally? The only person that can stop Cat is Cat.
Yep. I think that's a perfect way to put it. And I think if Ant gets hot, man, oh boy, I think we're in good shape. Would you agree with that, Voldy, with Cat just kind of keeping his head and things like that? What do you think?
Yeah, because a lot of what we saw in that game is Ja was getting some of the calls, especially when Cat was especially out early, ends up getting fouled out of that contest too. So really getting him out of his rhythm to the point where Ja was able to keep things the way that they were and even swing the favor a little bit towards the Grizzlies side. So I think, him keeping a level head, and obviously too, you can't shy away from the contact too. I mean, there's going to be some pretty play down low. He's going to have to stick a shoulder in somebody. And, if it's going to be a situation where he picks up a couple of fouls, let's just hope they're late in the second half where he's not having to get himself into a tough situation and put his team down in a certain way too.
One other thing too, because Cole, I want to ask, after I ask you this question, are they going to win tonight? They're going to win the series. So keep that in mind. Do we have to be worried about Pat Bev? And the reason why I ask that is because we know he can be a pest and, everything like that, but there's a fine line, right? There's a fine line to where you can do that and whatnot, but don't go overboard, because in the playoffs, remember the Chris Paul thing, he pushing Chris Paul and, all hell breaks loose, but he's an emotional player. Like, if you're Finch, if you're the coaching staff, what are you telling Pat Bev before this game? I mean, Pat Bev's no idiot. We all know that. But I mean, what do you tell the guy? Just say, just don't cross that line. You can stay behind the line. Just don't go cross it. What do you think, Cole?
Honestly, you're not telling Pat Bev anything at this point. Pat Bev is his own man, walking up there with the beer after the post game, the whole 9 years. He's going to say what he's going to say, and he's going to do what he's going to do. I mean, the guy's track record speaks for itself. I trust him in this situation. He's going to be an irritant. He's probably going to get in trouble with the refs a little bit, but it's all strategic with him. Try and get a couple little things here, a couple little things there to sway the game. As far as like what you try to tell him, I mean, you got to try and make sure he keeps a cool head. If things start going south, because obviously that's when you start seeing the hard fouls on Chris Paul and some of the dirty plays in the past, is when things start going south, and sometimes he'll try and do something that's a bit unethical or a bit out there. But let's face it, you're not saying anything to Pat Bev at this point. Pat Bev's his own man. He's going to do what he's going to do. There's a lot of guys, don't get me wrong, he can be coached up, but you're not going to walk up to him and talk to him about his temperament.
Right. But what I'm trying to say too is you don't want him suspended. You don't want to lose that X factor, is what I'm saying. And
yes,
I think he's smart enough to know that too. So
yes.
I'm not super concerned about it, but I just don't want all hell breaking loose and then we lose the series because he gets suspended for, I don't know, punching Ja Morant. I don't know. Something like that. I don't know.
Yeah, that's going to be something you just got to trust him. He's been in this league long enough. He knows dang well what's going to be both of the line.
And he's been a pest to them. I mean, that game he was diving for, loose balls. He was, making 3-point clutch 3-point shots too. So, I mean, he's not just doing it defensively, he's doing it offensively too. So,
if you remember in the playing game, he almost got one of the Morris twin, Marcus, I think it is Morris. He almost got him kicked out of the game. Messing with him. He was sitting there messing with him over the jump ball. They called it double technical. And the refs didn't realize it at the time, but they had just technically threw out Marcus Morris. Yeah. And then they had some BS about going and reviewing the call and the whole 9 yards, and they reversed it. But he got Marcus Morris kicked out of the gate. That's the type of thing where I'm saying, like, yes, he does some things that technically cross the line, but he's doing it in a way to try and win the game. Yeah. So you got to allow some of that stuff to go on so you can try and win. Sure.
Hey, well, we love Pat Bev, that's for sure. I mean, he's been a fan favorite now. It's ever since he stepped foot in Target Center and whatnot. All right, Cole, do the Wolves win tonight? Game 2 in Memphis. What do you got?
Not to be a buzzkill here, I don't think we're going to win tonight.
Whoa!
I don't. I think that we stole our home game. We stole our one road game to make this a series and to really go hard. If we win tonight, that's an emphasis win. And that's why I said I think we would sweep at that point. Okay. Because we basically just put our foot on their throat. I personally don't think that Memphis is going to allow that. I think Ja Morant comes out. A couple names to keep in mind on this. Desmond Bane. I think Desmond Bane's going to come out. He's going to play pretty good. And I think he's going to produce some points. DeAnthony Melton, too. I think he's going to come out the bench. I think he's going to put up some points along with John Morant and Desmond Bain. And I think we're going to go back tied 1-1.
Okay. Voldy?
Right. Win tonight. Yeah, I got to agree with Munson on this one, which is something I'm glad we're agreeing on this and this is recorded because it probably won't be too often to hear me saying agreeing with Munson on something.
No.
Yeah, I think we did steal our one road game. It is a buzzkill for, for the Grizzlies too, but I think the sustained momentum that the T-Wolves had in game one, that's going to be tested tonight. I think Memphis, a very hungry team, and some of those players that Munson did mention, they're going to have to step up, obviously, because, the Wolves are going to be teeing in on Ja. They're going to be teeing on and Triple J. They're going to be looking in at Steven Adams, too. It's just, because in the playoffs, it's all about, we know the stars are going to do what they're going to do. It's about those guys that are the fourth, fifth guys, the fifth, the two guys that maybe come off the bench that make the biggest part of the run, because obviously those guys are going to be leaned upon too in some of the later moments. So it's going to be a very interesting one. I don't think they win tonight, unfortunately.
You guys are making me going back and forth on this.
Stand your ground.
Yeah,
go with your decision.
All right,
be your own man.
Okay, fair enough. I'm gonna say they'll probably lose tonight. That I say that in the aspect of, I said Memphis would win in 6. Okay. And that's just me trying to be somewhat, because I think they have to take some steps. And I think this is a perfect place for them to take those steps. And then going into next year, then, hey, look, they can win the series, or they can do that. But yeah, I think they'll lose tonight. But I think after that game, they're going to go into game 3. And I think they'll win that game. I think the series is going to be tied 2-2 coming out of the Target Center. So that's just my thoughts on it, but we'll see. All right, Cole, I don't know if we're going to have you on before the end of the series, but Wolves going to win, man? Are they going to take this? Yep. Are they going to beat Memphis?
Wolves in 6. That's my official prediction.
Okay.
Wolves in 6.
I like
it. And I thought that before game 1.
Okay.
I thought that before they won game 1. Wolves are going to take this in 6. They're going to lose tonight, take care of the rest of the home games.
All right.
So they're going to win game 1, game 3, game 4, game 6.
I like it. Voldy, I think we already did ours, but just throw yours in there.
I think I did say Wolves in 7, I think.
You did say Wolves in 7. Okay.
I don't quote me directly on that, but I'm pretty sure I said 7.
I'll look back in the archive. Yeah. But I like it. I think so. Yeah, I don't know, but if they win, I will humbly say congratulations to the Wolves. It's going to be tough in the next round, though. I can tell you that much. But one thing before we move on here, but Cole, I realized something when we were setting up this interview, and I realized that this team has been, surprisingly really good, right? You have Ant, he had a lot of these other guys, but what's interesting to me is this team made the playoffs without a certain player. And I think you know what I mean by a certain player. And his name goes by the name of Ricky Rubio. Mr. Can't hit a shot to save his life. This team went to the playoffs without Ricky Rubio. So how do you feel about that, Cole? Please tell me how you feel about that. We didn't need Ricky. We didn't need him.
I'll say this. I think they're the 6th seed with Ricky Rubio.
Oh, God.
Oh, man. I tee it up and then he goes and does that. I tee it up and he does that. Come on, man.
Hey, in all seriousness,
okay.
Looking back at that trade, that was a fantastic trade.
Yeah.
They traded Ricky Rubio and got back a 2nd-round pick in Taurean Prince. Taurean Prince has been amazing for us.
Yes.
True.
He has been an absolute amazing player for us this year. So all jokes aside, that was a fantastic trade by Gerson Rosas, which, by the way, if he didn't mess up royally, is he a candidate for Executive of the Year?
I don't see why not.
I don't see why not.
Like if he was still in office.
I forgot about that part too, that he's no longer in the fold. It feels like a lifetime ago now.
Yeah, it does.
It does.
Yeah.
It does.
Yeah. I figured I'd bring that up because every time we have you up, there's got to be at least a Rubio reference. So we'll see.
You,
yeah.
If they had Rubio, they're slotted in for the championship right now.
Oh, God. Get out of here.
Are you just trying to win absurd statement? Is that what you're doing here?
If they had Rubio, I'd be getting my ring size checked out.
Oh my gosh.
Get those championship rings tested.
This is the last time. No, I'm just kidding. The last time we're having it. This is the last time. No.
I bring
all
the
in good
fans,
fun.
Matt. You can't do that. The fans love me. The fans love me.
I'm just saying, this upcoming year, you better watch yourself because people weren't happy. I mean, or the people that were nominated, they're going to be working their tails off to make sure they take you off your throne there. So we'll see.
Haters gonna hate. Haters gonna hate.
All right. Well, we'll wrap this up. But Cole, thanks for coming on. Appreciate the Wolves talk as always.
Anytime, guys.
Yeah, and we'll be talking.
Thanks for buying a hat too.
Yeah. Appreciate it. Appreciate it. So anyway, let's move on to absurd or approved.
It's time for everyone's favorite segment, Absurd or Approved.
All right, and we're back. That was a fun interview with Cole Munson. Obviously, it was one of those things where you give and take with him. Obviously, we like giving him crap about Rubio. We like giving him crap about just everything, especially winning Best Guest. I still don't know how he did it, but he did.
Fluke.
It was a fluke, like you said, on the recording as well. So, yeah, I don't know. It was fun, but we were right on our Wolves picks, by the way, Voldy. We had, we had the Wolves losing, which I feel bad, but at the same time, it's like I just want to be realistic, too. But it was still interesting, So. Anyway, we'll see what happens coming up here for the Wolves. They play tomorrow at the Target Center, so it should be a fun matchup. We can't wait. So fingers crossed that we can get the lead here, and/or hopefully we don't get in too deep a hole. Because it's going to be hard to dig out if we do. So anyway, let's get things going with some absurd or approved. So Voldy, why don't you rattle them off for us, please?
Well, we stick with the NBA and actually the playoff scene as well, but we're going to head out over to the Eastern Conference side of things as well. It was announced yesterday that Brooklyn Nets guard KyrieIrving has been fined $50,000 by the NBA after he flipped off several Boston Celtics fans in two separate occasions in game number 1 on Sunday. Now, in a release that came out on Tuesday, he was being fined for, quote, making obscene gestures on the playing court and directing profane language towards the spectator stands as well. Now, we all know the story of Kyrie and Boston as well. I mean, he was the big free agent signing a handful of years back, did get, but he played out his contract, said he was going to come back and re-sign, ended up playing for the Nets, and hasn't always exactly been a hero's welcome for Kyrie in his tenure out of the uniform of a Boston Celtic. And, well, Celtics fans have always let him know about that as well. And, well, Kyrie let his feelings be known in a very, let's just say, a very adult-centered post-game conference, press conference this Sunday as well. I'm not going to repeat it. If you want to look it up, go right ahead. It is all you. But he said he wanted to have the same energy for the fans that they have for him as well, and adds a little fuel to the fire on both sides because it's a high-energy, high-impact situation too. Almost the same situation the way the Timberwolves celebrated a play-in victory. Now we got Kyrie swearing and flipping off the crowd as well. Do you think it's absurd or approved? $50,000. Do you think it was enough for the gestures and also the profaneness of Kyrie in his reaction to the Boston fans?
Ooh, this spurs a good question because I mean I can I see both sides. Mm-hmm. And I've been very critical of Kyrie. I think ever since he left Cleveland, I think there's been some interesting things that has happened in from that time, ever since they won the title with him and LeBron. But when you have all of these fans yelling at him, calling him the B word, calling him, a cat, and you can put that, together too. But it gets to a point where he probably said, forget it, I'm done with all this, all these people calling me this. I'm going to bite back at him. And I don't know if you saw this, Voldy, but there was a video of him. Someone said, you suck, Kyrie, or something like that. And then Kyrie said, what he said. You can look it up, because I don't think this would be good for our PG with a sprinkle of 13. But
I love it.
Yeah. Granted, Boston is a place where you are going to get peppered with those types of insults. Now, granted, it's Boston, and it's hard to kick those types of people out. It's hard to weed those people out, right? Now, Kyrie, the way that he left Boston, I think, showed what type of person he kind of is. And, you do what you want, okay? But at the same time, why are you feeding more to those fans, okay? And I get why that you're just like, I'm sick of it. I don't want to keep doing it. It's just like, listen, block that out. Forget what they're saying to you, okay? They don't have, what they're trying to get in your head. And guess what? They've gotten in your head. But granted, he scored 39 points that night. So,
he did.
I mean, I don't think it's bothering him. Now, if he keeps doing that, then there's going to be some issues. But I think you have to look at Boston and the Celtics and, in the arena there to watch what fans are saying, because, some of them might get kicked out. And you got to be careful with that. I'm glad Kyrie didn't attack or didn't, push somebody, hit somebody. I think Miles Bridges did that with the Hornets not too long, or like a couple days ago even, or a week ago. But I don't know, or I'm not on anybody's side on this one. I'm certainly not on Kyrie's, just because I think in this instance, I think 50,000's fine. It's pocket change for the guy. But he's been so controversial. He's been just kind of a thorn in everybody's side, I feel like. And there's no intent of him stopping what he's doing. Okay? But with the Boston fans, think about the Boston fans. How would you feel if let's just say, at this point, let's give an example. Let's say if Kirill Kaprizov said, I want to be a Wild guy for life, and then he ends up only staying 2 years.
Right.
That would rub me the wrong way, too, I think. And, I mean, I get that. I get why, but those fans need to understand, stop calling them that. They're out there trying to play the game. They're trying to, they're doing what they love, and then you're calling them things like that. But it's a place where Boston's going to give it to you. No matter how much you complain about it, there's always going to be one person that's going to go in that extra mile. So, yeah, I would kind of go as far to say as, I would say with the fine, it's fine with me. It's got my stamp of approval, because you can't be flipping off. He did it twice now. I mean, he, behind the head with the middle fingers, and then after making a shot, flicking the fans off too, and then telling fans to, you can put it together if you've seen it. But yeah, I mean, the fine, I agree with the fine. I think there's consequences to those actions, and he's definitely paid them. So, but we'll see what happens with the security in Boston there. So, watch what you say. Voldy, What do you think?
For all the things that KyrieIrving has done pretty much off the court, thinking that the world is flat, thinking obviously the whole vaccination situation with him too. And, just be happy. The way I look at it is the NBA, there's no such thing as loyalty. Yeah, he was a member of the Boston Celtics. He said he was going to come back. I didn't believe him for a second. Like, why wouldn't he? If he wanted to come back, he would have done it right away, or he would have gotten that contract extension taken care of during the season too. But you know what? He decided to go somewhere else, and Boston fans have a little trouble coping with that. I have absolutely no problem with KyrieIrving flipping off the crowd. Look, you reap what you sow. You get what you give, anywhere and everywhere in between. Don't give me this whole crap about trying to be better than that and being higher than the game itself. It's like, no, this is a man who's doing his job. He is at work, and people are giving him crap for it. How would you like it? You're sitting in your little, your little cubicle, working away on the computer. Somebody starts coming up behind you and cursing you out, saying, "You suck. You can't do your job right. You're this and you're that." And it's like, at some point, someone's going to catch some hands. That's what's going to happen. And be thankful that Kyrie didn't start slapping people silly on the sidelines and everything. Look, at least he didn't come out blatantly and start giving the old double bird to 5-year-olds sitting in the front row. He did it subtly. He's just doing the whole behind the head everything too, and given what you get. This is you reap what you sow. I have no problem with it. $50,000, like we said, it's chump change for Kyrie. He's got a lot of things going on, and the sad thing is, it may be the fuel to the fire for the Nets, I should say, the Nets to get over Boston. Even though I think they're playing right now in Game 2, so I think this will be a very interesting series if it does that. But if he's putting up 39 and KD can maybe have an off night or two. It's going to be a very interesting series. But, hey, Celtics are up 1-0 in the series thanks to Jay Tatum, too. So I think it's got my stamp of approval on the fine. But what Kyrie did, it is just too perfect. And it's just going to be a storybook series, I'll say that much.
Yeah, I get it. But I just think hopefully that they don't – or it doesn't get to a point where it just crosses the line.
Right.
But one thing I do want to mention, though, you mentioned Jason Tatum with his the final shot there.
Mm-hmm.
Kyrie was playing defense right there.
And
a little spin, and he went right through. So,
and KD is just sitting there thinking what to do. He does not compute.
You got to play defense. You have to play defense, and you know what? You might have paid. You're going to pay the price, and they did. So, all right, next one, Voldy.
Well, this is very interesting because DenzelWard's about to become the highest paid corner in the NFL as the Cleveland Browns and Pro Bowl cornerback DenzelWard are agreed to a 5-year, $100.5 million contract extension that includes $71.25 million guaranteed. So basically, almost 3/4 of his contract is guaranteed. At 24, of course, he's going to be the highest paid corner in NFL history with a $20.1 million average annual salary that puts him ahead of Jalen Ramsey as well, with that also being just a smidgen higher because Jalen's getting exactly $20 million a season with his average annual salary. Now he's under contract for 6 more years with DenzelWard. Very interesting considering the fact that the Cleveland Browns are basically throwing around funny money at this point with even signing Deshaun Watson to that contract at $230 million with about 95% of it being guaranteed. Looking at that $1 million extension for DenzelWard, do you think it's absurd or approved that DenzelWard is now the highest paid corner in the NFL?
Well, that's a great question because honestly, I think DenzelWard has flown under the radar for a while now. I've definitely been noticing how well he's been playing for Cleveland, even in their down years. And they've had some injuries. I know that he's had a couple injuries himself, but I like the way he plays. He plays with tenacity. He's a very good tackler in space too. I don't know if you've seen some highlights of him taking down ball carriers just in the open field. And he's great at that. He's a great cover corner, too, man-to-man. And I think it's well-deserved. Now, you're spending a lot of money. And you got Deshaun. Now you have DenzelWard. Your cap situation is going to be interesting in a couple of years.
Yeah.
And that is something that I would be concerned about, especially if you're Kevin Stefanski. I'm surprised he's really, when you have a guy that comes from Minnesota and he's been with Minnesota for so long, but you're seeing all the deals that they've been making. Mm-hmm. It's really interesting, and you wonder too. Obviously, did the Wolves want him to stay? I don't know, but let's get back to Ward, because Ward, I think, is definitely deserving of that money. But now, this is interesting, because sometimes when these guys, and I'm not saying he's going to do this at all, but Xavier Rhodes, he was given a contract, a pretty big contract. I'm not saying he's Xavier Rhodes. I am saying you have to watch out. When you give that money to those guys, some of them take it and go, I'm going to prove to you that I'm going to make this, I'm going to, show you why I'm making this money. Mm-hmm. Then there's guys that are like, nope, I'm making this money. So I don't
Why do I need to try?
Right. Why do I need to try? Right. Now, I doubt that's going to happen, because he doesn't seem like the type of guy that's going to do that.
Right.
Because he wanted to stay a Brown. I think he wanted to make sure that he wanted to be a Cleveland Brown. And he's that good. He made 2 Pro Bowls, one in 2018, one in 2021. He has 10 interceptions, returning 2 for touchdowns, 50 passes defended in 52 games. That's pretty doggone good. But if Stefanski's thinking, I'm worried about the cap situation, we could trade him to the Vikings. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. But I think it's deserving. Stamp of approval for DenzelWard. Now go out and ball out, man. We'll see. Voldy, what do you think?
You run the risk when you sign a corner to $100 million contract extension. That's the first thing I thought of when I saw this deal, was the Xavier Rhodes situation too. It's like, all right, well, you gave him all that money. Again, what's it going to mean now? Is he going to rise to the occasion, or is he going to say, why do I need to try? I got my money. I can just, coast for a couple years or something like that. You run the risk, and looking at the numbers too, it very well may be worth it. Now it's just a question of, can he reciprocate? Because I feel like the defense for the Browns this year are going to be leaned upon than they have in the last couple of years, with all the questions and turmoil that they have on the other side of the ball offensively. I think it's going to be on the defensive side to try and pick a few things up. And while the defensive backfield certainly going to be an area of going to be noticed here this season for the Cleveland Browns too. So I think it's got my stamp of approval. Let's just hope that this investment pays out for the Browns.
Yep, and you run that risk, and with corners it's tricky, but I feel like if I'm Cleveland, I'm betting it on this guy. I'm not gonna, I don't think this is a Xavier Rhodes type of thing. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be starting to slam down his helmet on the sideline and fume that he wasn't set up in the right place. But I don't know. He hasn't done much in Indianapolis. But no offense. But I don't know. Next one, Voldy.
Well, the San Diego Padres made a little bit of history earlier this week as they announced that they had become the first team to have a deal for ads on their uniforms on Tuesday, that patches of the Motorola logo will be worn on the right sleeve of their jerseys. First off, I didn't know Motorola was still a thing to begin with. I thought they got bought out by like Verizon and Sprint and all of them. And this becomes, this came off the new collective bargaining agreement as the Major League Baseball has decided that they're going to launch the uniform ads with the 2023 season, but said that it may start with helmet ads with this year's postseason as well. So slowly but surely, we're going to see more and more ads on the uniforms for Major League Baseball. I know we've seen a couple of things the last couple of years with some teams. I think when New York and Boston played that London series over there, they had helmets. Their helmets had ads on them. Umpire uniforms have had the FTX crypto, I think, ad on their uniforms last season or two. But it's very interesting because this also brings up with that collective bargaining agreement that Major League Baseball and the Players Union agreed that player commercial deals in place as of the start of the 2022 season cannot be challenged by the league and its teams as well. So it has to be more of a team uniformity situation, pun intended on that one as well. But is it absurd or approved that Major League Baseball uniforms will be covered in logos in the next 5 years?
Well, the NBA is doing it, and correct me. No, the NFL's not doing that yet. Obviously,
not quite yet.
Not quite yet.
Practice jerseys they have.
Yes, that's right.
For like four.
Feels
like forever that they had the logos on the practice uniforms, but yeah, they've been there for a while.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I guess it's fine. You know, they need as much money as they can get. It's the patches and everything. I just don't want it. Like you said, I don't want it just covering every part of the jersey. And it's like, where's the style to it anymore? You know, it's like, shoot, like some of these jerseys now are just covered in all these other, you know, companies and businesses and everything like that. But Motorola, I didn't even know that was still a thing. Like you said, I'm surprised by that whole thing. But apparently it is, and it still is what it is. It's in the next 5 years. I hope that it's not just a whole smattering or anything like that. But I get why they're doing it. You want to make money. We all don't like Manfred. You know, it is what it is. So, yeah, I guess it's got my stamp of approval. I don't see anything that's going to hamper anything. But then again, it's the MLB, so they might find a way to screw it up. Who knows? So, Foldy, what do you think?
Look, the next 5 years, I would not be surprised if they're covered head to toe in some sort of regalia of advertising as well, because we're getting to that point. We've seen it in, of course, with the professional hockey teams overseas as well. Some of the pictures that I've shown in the past too. I wish I had them on my phone right now. I could probably pop one up and show, but yeah, some of those pictures just gross, just head to toe covered. And I have seen them firsthand experience with some of those, and I don't know if it works or not. I definitely know that those professional teams overseas certainly not hurting financially with the amount of ads and that they advertise on their uniforms as well. Some of the winter baseball teams have that situation too with advertising, but you just hope that it wouldn't get to the point now that it'd start filtrating into the big four in of course with professional sports in the U.S. But slowly but surely we're starting to see it. Like the WNBA has had main sponsors on their uniforms for 5, 6, 7 years. Here come the Minnesota Mayo Clinics. They're not even they're not even the Lynx anymore, because the Lynx have Mayo Clinic right across the chest of the uniform too. I mean, obviously San Diego trying to get a leg up on the competition with Motorola. Very interesting that they go that route. Not even at the start of the season, 10, 12 games into the start of the year that they have worked out a deal. So I guess this is just the way it's going to be. And then before too long, we'll probably see more logos on the caps and also the pants and maybe, the belts or something like that, batting gloves and stuff. But this is going to be the start of a very long process and a very ugly process as well.
Yep. I don't know how they're going to pull it off, but good luck, I guess. All right, next one, Voldy.
Well, sticking with professional baseball, I actually go to the minor league side of things as well. Now, the implementation of a strict pitch clock across minor league baseball has actually shaved off 20 minutes of game time here to start off the season, dramatically speeding up the pace while not having a demonstrable effect on scoring in the setting the stage for Major League Baseball to implement a clock starting next year as well. Now, over the first 132 minor league games, according to a report that saw a 14-second clock with the bases empty, 18 seconds with runners and penalties for pitchers and hitters if they run afoul of the time as well. Now, took the game from the average of 2 hours and 39 minutes. Now, this is much quicker than 2 hours and 59 minutes compared to last season as well. Still a little bit of smaller sample size, but effective nonetheless with the pitch clock. So I guess it kind of gives away the surprise and the allure of my question as well. Now, kind of change things up. Now, I was going to ask about the implementation, but Major League Baseball is going to be dumping the pitch clock and actually enforcing it starting next season.
Right.
Now, will we start to see shave times off of 20 minutes right off the bat for Major League Baseball starting next season with the pitch clock?
That's a great question. I would think so. And the reason why I say that is because I'm glad that they're trying this out. And the reason why I say that is because we all know the situation. Voldy, you already did a Voldy's Virtues on this specific topic. And you said, baseball's dead. They're not doing this or like you said, it is part of the game, but I feel like some of these pitchers are milking time they're milking a lot of time. And sometimes you just want to, can we move on? Can we keep this going? But it's proven that it's been able to work and, limit the amount of time that these guys have to pitch, throw the ball down to the catcher. I think it's going to work. And I think will it work right off the bat? I hope so. I think it will. But it has to be implemented right. And I think it's going to be something where it's going to help more than it's going to hurt the game. And, people are like, it's only 20 minutes. There's still, let's just say if usual game's like 3 hours or something like that. It only shaves off 2 hours and 40 minutes. Who cares? At least it's speeding things up a little bit. You don't have to be like, let's go. That's fine. I think it's fine. 20 minutes, shave off 20 minutes. That's fine with me. So stamp of approval. Voldy, what do you think?
I do like the fact that it is in minor league baseball to start to see that speed up as well to lay the groundwork of how Major League Baseball is going to be. And I've seen some videos of it being enforced. That was the big problem I had when they first introduced the pitch clock. It wasn't being enforced. It was there, but umpires weren't saying like, okay, you took too long, that's a walk or that's an out to begin with. There have been a couple situations already with the pitch clock, in an 0-2 count and a batter steps out of the box. That's a strike. That's strike three. You're out. Game over. In a certain video that I saw too, that it was the final out of the game too. So if it's going to happen, it has to be enforced, and there has to be a set number of obviously standards too. With it getting such a longer look in the minor league system compared to Major League Baseball, there's going to be some hiccups early on. But now that we're starting to see some of the umpires that are maybe the more seasoned ones start to leave the game a little bit more, if only get Angel Hernandez out of baseball. But I don't feel like that's going to happen for at least another 20 years, mostly because he couldn't find the plate if he wanted to call strikes and balls. But again, that's another story altogether. You get some of these younger umpires in there, and they're probably more receptive to the pitch clock. Now here's the other side of the argument that I feel a little bit more stronger towards. Why do we continue to put a clock on a game that has no clock to begin with? When it starts, when it finishes is all pertained to the outcome of a pitch, the outcome of a batter, the outcome of a pitcher, and how that all intertwines together as well. Stop trying to give a game that has no clock a start and a finish as well. If a game takes 2 hours to finish, that's great. If a game takes 5 hours to finish, that's less than ideal, but at the end of the day, it was probably a great game to begin with, too. Because at the end of it all games are 9 innings. Whether how you get 27 outs on each side, that's completely up to you and completely up to the players, coaches, managers, everywhere in between, the umpires as well. I just want baseball to continue to perform the way it has been. If it goes a little bit faster, hey, that's great. But to the point, if we start saying, okay, you guys have 2 hours and 15 minutes to play 9 innings, whether we get there or not, that's up to you. If you get 6.5 in 2 hours and 15 minutes, hey, look, if whoever's ahead is the winner. And if it's tied, then we'll do a coin flip. That's probably the route we're going to go at this point with Manfred still in the helm, too. Whether it's going to be effective and shave off 20 minutes, it probably will, because some of these younger starting pitchers that are getting fully enveloped, and they start to work with a little bit of pace, too, compared to pitchers of the past, where you get like the Josh Beckett's that take 30, 40 seconds between pitches. You get some of these younger guys. Remember Mark Burley back in the day? Man, just toe it and throw it. Why think about it? Just here's the ball, see if you can hit it or not. And him and Carl Pavano back in the day got done in a game in under 2 hours. Next thing you know, Target Field gets hit with one of the worst thunderstorms of the season. I remember watching that game, and it's just like, I was just like, geez, that was a quick one. All right, I guess that'll work too. But some of these younger starting pitchers that are now, more in tune to what the game is becoming, they know that sometimes there is going to be a clock. 14 seconds with bases empty and 18 seconds with runners on. I don't feel like that's going to be too much of a difference in the way that they work. It's just going to make things a little bit easier. Will it shave off time? Absolutely. I think it's going to shave off time, and I hate to say it, but ultimately make the game a little bit more appealing for people that aren't exactly true diehard baseball fans. Look, I'll watch a baseball game. If it takes 4 hours, so be it. If it's 2 hours, hey, that's great. Let's see what else is on TV. But, I have no problem with it whatsoever.
Yep. I think, and also, there's going to be games where even if you have the pitch clock, it might go longer than usual. And I think what I read here, Voldy, the average right now is like 3 hours and 3 minutes of a full game. So
now, if it's Yankees Red Sox, it's 4 hours and 37 minutes 28 seconds.
Now that's something you'd watch because it's Yankees Red Sox, right? I don't think anyone would complain about that. So, all right, last one, Voldy.
Well, this one a little bit more lighthearted and fun to finish off A this week. The Seattle Kraken, of course, in their maiden voyage on their first season in the NHL, have decided to add 2 minority investors into the fold that are, a little bit more specific to the Pacific Northwest. Now, say specifically to the Pacific Northwest 5 times fast. That'll be a tongue twister for you. In terms of investment, which were announced on Monday, did recently value the Seattle Kraken an estimated $875 million. And, 2 of those minor investors, former Seattle Seahawks running back and cultural star Marshawn Lynch and Seattle-born rapper Macklemore are now minority investors with the Seattle Kraken that have been spotted at a few Kraken games this season as well. And this certainly does add a little bit of that caveat to bringing a little bit of help for the Seattle Kraken, at least maybe from a PR standpoint too. But is it absurd or approved the Kraken bringing in Lynch and Macklemore into the ownership fold?
I don't know. Gosh, I'm not sure. Stamp of approval. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
Come on. With Beast Mode, everything's great. Everything's great with Beast Mode. If you saw the video, Marshawn on the Zamboni, probably literally the funniest thing you could think of. He wasn't on a train, though. I will say he wasn't on a train, but he was on a Zamboni. But it sounds like the train's going by with Beast Mode. But, wow, that's a loud one. Oh, my goodness. But anyway, stamp of approval. Marshawn Lynch, he's still got some strings in Seattle, it seems like it. Him being have a small stake in the Seattle Kraken has got my stamp of approval for sure. Macklemore, sure, why not? I haven't heard any new stuff from Macklemore in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while for him.
Maybe. Yeah, maybe. Stamp of approval. I think it would be fun. does he really know hockey much or not really? Yay, nay, maybe. I
don't know.
But he drove the Zamboni, and he's got to know some things. But I'm sure BeastMode does. Heck yeah, stamp of approval. Voldy.
I'm purely just in it for Marshawn on the Zamboni.
Yeah, exactly.
Now, if he did that on the actual ice itself, we'd have a little bit of an issue in that regard. But you know what? I think it's good. It because Marshawn, he's become a bit of a businessman for himself post NFL career, and Macklemore, he's a local guy. He's grown up in the area. He knows the area too. So it also helps that he's a Grammy award-winning rapper. Obviously, he's been a little bit radio silent on a few things, but a lot of his hits have turned to gold. And also for Marshawn too, whatever he does turns to gold as well on and off the field. So I think it's just a smart move. Unfortunately for the Kraken, hasn't been the most ideal start to their season as a first season. They're not going to make the playoffs this year. But you know what? Anything to help build up into next year and maybe make a few slight changes here and there, I think it's good for them as well. It's got my stamp of approval as well.
I don't see why you could call it absurd. I mean, it's that cool. It's that much fun. But has BeastMode officially retired yet? Do we know?
I don't know. I feel like he has. Maybe he's just lying in the weeds. And maybe we'll
because he kind of did. After Oakland, we thought he was done, and then all of a sudden Seattle comes calling, and he's playing.
Pops right up, finishes what he started in Seattle. So
yeah, hey, why not? Why not? So, anyway, great job with ARA this week of Voldy. We're getting done a little earlier than usual, which is fine because we had the great interview with Cole Munson. But it's time to get to some Shield shout-outs. We've got a lot of them tonight, so make sure that you stay tuned in because there's a lot of shout-outs. There's a lot of shouting out. There's a lot of fun happening here. So, anywho, let's get it going with some Shield shout-outs.
Shield Shoutouts.
All right, Shield, who are you shouting out tonight?
Well, unfortunately, did learn that this past week, a gentleman that was instrumental in the start of my career, whether it be in broadcasting or at least in the sports media world, did pass away. Pat Lund, a former sports anchor for the local NBC affiliate in Rochester. Obviously grew up in Rochester and was a fixture in southeastern Minnesota sports for a long, long time in his career too. Unfortunately did pass away. My thoughts and prayers out to Jamie and the Lund family as well. Rest in peace to Pat Lund, and obviously the great amount of people that he impacted in his career as well, whether it just be with friendships or professionally as well. Pat Lund was always somebody that you could talk to, and he was also very forthcoming, kept tabs. I remember our final show with the Sports Zone for SMSU Media. Pat Lund actually called in, said congratulations, and kept tabs on everything after that too. So he was also a good friend, good colleague as well. Surely will be missed by a lot of people. So rest in peace to Pat Lund. Do have to get a little bit on the lighter side of Shield shoutouts. Of course, some big numbers being thrown out by obviously yours truly, the likes of Kirill the Thrill, who set the franchise record not only in points for the Minnesota Wild, but also for goals scored this past week. Now over 43 goals for a Minnesota Wild player, the most in franchise history for Kirill the Thrill Kaprizov as well. Most assists in one single season, that belongs to his line mate, that being Mats Zuccarello, who did also set it this past week as well. And then obviously the Minnesota Wild, for those that didn't know that post that I put up when they broke the record for most goals in one season, this team gets buckets. That being the Minnesota Wild, for those non-hockey fans out there that could understand, oh, that's a lot of goals. Yeah, this team gets buckets. And also, speaking of buckets as well, the Boston Celtics guard Marcus Smart winning Defensive Player of the Year. First guard, says Gary Payton, the glove, winning Defensive Player of the Year. So the first time a guard has won it since the 1995-96 season, as Marcus Smart does get a Shield shout-out for winning Defensive Player of the Year in the NBA. And we got to give a Shield shout-out, even though I didn't really like this guy towards the tail end of his career. Former starting pitcher for the Orioles, the Cubs, the Phillies, Jake Arrieta announced his retirement on Monday. Of course, he was a Cy Young Award winner in 2015 and also won a World Series with the Cubs in 2016. As Shield shout out to Jake Arrieta on his retirement. That's going to do it for Shield Shoutouts this week.
All right. Awesome job with Shield Shoutouts this week. A lot of wild stuff, too. Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. Big numbers.
Big numbers, man. So hopefully can finish out the season on a good note and whatnot. We got a lot of tough opponents, but we're going to rest some guys, too. So we'll be talking more on that as well. So, all right. Anywho, if you guys are thinking, how do we support the show? We really like this show. We enjoy this show. Well, there's one way to do it. You can buy shirts. You can buy merch, everything, all the merch, the shirts. Check out the shirts, $20 plus $5 shipping. Oh, and then the hats as well. The hats, we got hats. Voldy's got the hat showing right there. We love the hats. Cole Munson was wearing a hat, $20, $5 shipping for those bad boys. And by the way, we got stickers. $2, $3 for the big ones, $2 for the small ones. We love giving those out and whatnot. And for the people that wanted sweatshirts, listen, you got to pay up. Got to pay up, people. You know,
$2.
Yeah. There you go. Thank you, Voldy. Got everything put out with all the stickers. They look fantastic, per usual. And we thank National Fleet Graphic. We thank Tyler Knudsen, Crown Rental for the stickers as well. Also, check out our guy, Will Rattel, W2 Performance. Will Rattel, and check him out, his website, www.w2performance.com. He's got everything going on with that. Weekly YouTube videos, or daily, I should say daily, actually. He's got daily YouTube videos. He's got all sorts of stuff. The Haas Project is fantastic. So,
when's Rattel going to put his name in for the dunk contest already?
That's a great question.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was going to do like a lifting competition or something like that. I thought that's what Rattel was going to do.
Dude's got hops.
He does. He really does. He really does. He can dunk, man. It's crazy. And he's fast, too, which makes it even scarier. So he'll catch you. All right, we'll move on here. Check out Jack's Junkyard, Jack O'Keefe. Breaking into the league with Sam Gabrielli, Ryan Martin, available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts. They have a new episode out. Make sure you check those guys out as well. And then the victorious P.O.D. with Ryan Walters and Jack Vickers. We are working with something for after the draft. We might record something with those guys, so keep in tune with that. And we got some fun stuff scheduled too. We got some fun guests coming through. So blast from the past, and that's how I'm gonna say it. That's all I'm gonna say. Blast from the past. That's all I'm gonna say. We're gonna leave it like that. So I'm looking forward to that mix up as well. So anyway, great job, Voldy, and we will see you hopefully next week. And remember, as always, folks, keep in the zone.
Holla.
Thank you for watching MinneZona Sports Live. Join us Wednesdays at 7 p.m. for live show broadcast. And as Voldy likes to say, follow us on all the socials medias.